I'm thrilled with the. Well, first of all, thanks. I thought it was, for Wednesday night. Great. Thought the crowd was awesome. Been awesome for us all year as we're, obviously trying to get this thing right. But just obviously we got one home game left at Gamble, which I'm sure will be sold out. But we just the crowds this year have been amazing, and again, just want to thank our fans. Our supporters, season ticket holders, students, everybody, for making it such a great atmosphere in the XL Center, this year for us. Obviously, I wasn't thrilled with the way we ended the first half. Felt like we, blew a chance. James, the 2 missed free throws to get it to 9. Felt like we kind of, playing well enough to have maybe a double-digit lead at the half. We had a good talk at halftime, about finishing plays and playing with a lot more urgency, and just thrilled with the second half, performance.
Yeah, I know it seems like every game, Isaiah Whaler's been the topic of conversation. Have you ever had a guy that has made this kind of turnaround from being unable to get on the court at all one year to being such an important part of the piece this year?
Yeah, I did. It was at Rhode Island. We had a kid, Andre Berry, who was a center there, who my 5th year, when we won the league and should have beat Oregon in the NCAA tournament, but gave up 2 free throw rebounds and a 4-point lead. And, not that I still think about that game, but he, Andre was like a guy who just kind of, he had a decision to transfer at the end of that junior year, or stay and fight for a role and compete. And he ended up starting every game for us as a center on a team that I think won 16 or 17 games in a row and got ranked as high as top 15. So, he's probably the closest thing for me. But he doesn't show up with like a preconceived notion of like how he wants the offensive game to go for him. He gets after it defensively. He's as good a ball screen defender as you'll see. And he's getting more comfortable on offense. Just the more minutes that he's gotten it's allowed him to kind of like settle in, not be kind of as anxious and nervous. And he's done a great job of staying within himself. But he's in recruiting, we'll use him as an example of player development, no doubt.
You say he's not as nervous anymore. Have you seen his confidence and just his demeanor change and shift in the last couple of games?
Surprisingly, no. He's very quiet for a guy that plays with such intensity and all-out effort. He's pretty quiet. He's a soft-spoken guy, and he's like the greatest teammate in the world. Everything he does, he's a maximum effort guy. Classroom, as a teammate, working on his game, just a selfless guy that you could win with.
One point was a guy who's inside presence, especially when how to cook.
Yeah, and the last couple games, teams have played really small, so it's been hard to play him and Josh. So his emergence has been, it's been huge. Obviously we're not the same defensive team, losing a Cook, but he's allowing us to play, good enough defense with obviously a better offensive flow right now.
This is Christian's final game at the XL Center. Without Tariq, though, has any decisions been made as far as whether he'll be back next year? Do you know what's going on? Or
Yeah,
this is probably it for him too?
That's something. Either end the season or this week. We'll deal with that. He'll either participate in senior day or he won't. Al's very important to me. Al's very important to the program. Al's been an incredible pleasure to coach to this point, and he's he's got to weigh some options at the end of the year for himself. He's been through a lot, but he's such a selfless guy and such a warrior that he's not thinking about senior day. He's not thinking about anything but how he can best help the team.
Dan, tonight's win, I guess, virtually assured you won't have a losing season. How important is that, in rebuilding psychologically to reach that goal? And also, could you answer how Christian Vital kind of fits into all that psychology?
Yeah, I mean, well, just the first thing, it's huge just to, because listen, this was a massive rebuild. This thing was, it was what it was across the board, not even in just one area, but, in a whole lot of areas. So just to show the progress and, to get to 7 conference wins, where we had 6 all last year, again, to avoid a losing season. And, when you lose Tyler to the ACL and, when you're starting 3 freshmen, I'd say, a couple weeks ago, we were wondering where the hell we were going to win a couple games. But we've shown real progress here. And it's the next step that we're taking. Not only have we accumulated more wins, but we've literally had a chance to have, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 more based on how we've played. And in Christian, everything's changed, and I would say in the last 6 weeks, especially for him. Like I said yesterday, he becomes an example for next year's team and for future guys that I coach. Here, just you as a coach from past teams, you're always trying to use former players as examples of what your current players need to do. And the 180 he's made in terms of his leadership, how he's helped bring along the younger players, how he's adjusted his offensive approach a little bit or a lot bit at times. And again, he's gone Marcus Smart more than Damian Lillard, and as a player, and that's that's going to be his legacy here. He's there's more wins out there for us, but for us to go and attack right now. But his legacy here is not just the guy who accumulated stats, but I think you're going to look 2-3 years down the line when we win a championship, and he's going to have his fingerprints on it.
I was going to ask you a little more about him. I can remember the day they brought that Vaughn class in. He was, I won't say he was an afterthought, but he was kind of the last guy to talk to that day, as far as how big of an imprint he could have. What can a player do over the course of 4 years, sort of become, he's a 100-something recruit to as important as the program's legacy?
Yeah, I mean, just all of his experiences, his work ethic. I've never, I've coached guys that are as competitive as him, but none that are more determined or competitive. And just like a lot of athletes or coaches, we all use slights or even just perceived slights that don't exist to drive us and push us to work harder, watch more film, shoot more, lift harder, work on your game more. And if you don't think that he remembers that he was the least ballyhooed of that class, that still drives him, and fuels him. But now I think, in a much more positive way.
What does it say about your mental toughness as we're able to have those 2 guys be injured and out, and now you went 5 to 7?
Yeah, we run a program. We run a program. We do it all year round. We take a holistic approach. Everyone's bought into it. Going back to when the season ended all the way through the summer. The things we've tried to help these guys just to grow as people. We obviously have older players that have taken a big step in terms of their performance. In Christian, in Isaiah, and then our young guys have played. Our freshmen, I think those 2 guys are obviously going to be terrific. And Jalen and James, and a Cook obviously was probably the defensive player of the year before he got hurt. So Brendan has come along nicely. It's just our younger players have a chance to really be part of some amazing UConn teams, and our older guys, have a couple of the older guys have really stepped it up. And we're building a strong championship organization with the way that we approach competition and our responsibilities as student athletes and as a team.